Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to UPMC Rooney Sports Complex here on the south side of Pittsburgh. Bob Pompiani here. Missy Matthews joins shortly, but this is a Tomlin Tuesday as the Steelers get ready for a game against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday night. It's a throwback weekend for the Steelers. Coming off a disappointing loss, Green Bay coming off a tight win in Arizona, so they're 4-1-1. The Steelers 4-2. Should be a tremendous atmosphere at Acrisure Stadium. Mike Tomlin is ready to address the media, so let's go to him now.
Good afternoon. Boy, really excited about Sunday night football in Acrisure versus Green Bay. But as always, I'll start with a quick review of our last performance. Although it feels a little stale, I hadn't had an opportunity to visit with you guys since. As I mentioned after the game, a couple, building blocks of the engineering of victory, man, that we didn't take care of, and I think that's why the game unfolded the way that it did. For us, we got to stop the run more effectively. We feel like that's a building block for us to play good defense, to get offenses in more one-dimensional passing circumstances, to get people in more advantageous possession down circumstances for us. Our inability to stop the run, I think, created that, and that was an issue for us. It really started kind of in the second quarter when Brown popped a couple of runs, and it kind of went on from there. It never felt like we had an opportunity to stabilize that component of the game. We had been trending the right way in that space for a number of weeks, but certainly last week was a setback in that area, and I really think it created an environment where we weren't controlling the game from that perspective. I think the same could be said on the offensive side. We turned the ball over twice, and really that hadn't been us. We've been really good at protecting and preserving the football. But if you get a couple turnovers and you're not stopping the run, that's just not a good posture to play from. We certainly didn't take the ball away, and so to be -2 in a hostile place while not stopping the run, man, is kind of a catalyst for losing. You couple that with the fact that we were highly penalized and had some significant penalties. I thought the false start on 4th and 1 when we were in the red area was a 4-point-like penalty. And in games like that, man, you just can't afford to have them. The ability to execute in that space in the red zone is significant, whether it's defensively in terms of getting stops or offensively finishing. And I think in the midst of that, when we got that false start and had to settle for a field goal, that was significant as well. And so, my perspective is things were going well until they weren't. We played about a good quarter of football, and then we didn't do a good enough job stopping the run or preserving and protecting the ball. We got highly penalized, and it made it an uphill battle from there. I will say I was really appreciative of the effort. I thought the guys fought their tails off, man. We made some plays, certainly on offense. I thought we had a necessary stop on defense there with about 5 or 6 minutes to go in the game to give us another shot at it. And so, just as a collective, man, I thought they fought, particularly in less than ideal circumstances, but certainly we came up short, and there's some lessons to be learned from that. As we move into this week, I'll quickly talk about some injury things. Calvin Austin is scheduled to work this week. We'll let his participation and the quality of that participation be our guide in terms of his availability. As we stand here today, we're optimistic, and I know certainly he's optimistic about his ability to be included. We had some bumps and bruises associated with play, but after a long weekend of rehabilitation, I doubt any of those are significant in terms of limiting someone's availability. It may limit the availability at the top of the week. We'll have some veteran players and things of that nature that we'll minimize a little bit tomorrow. But as we lean in on this game, I don't expect any of those things to kind of be an issue. Now let's talk Green Bay. First, I'll start with their defense. Got a lot of respect for Jeff Hafley and the work he's doing over there with those guys. They're fundamentally sound. They don't give up big plays. I think they're 3rd in the league in explosion run plays and 1st in the league in explosion pass plays. And so largely, collectively, with both, they're certainly number 1. They keep the ball inside and in front. They set good edges. They reduce the amount of grass that they have to play in. And in doing so, man, they make offenses operate in an effort to score on them. And so you gotta be clean. You got to execute for blocks of plays at a time. You got to execute situational plays. You got to play penalty free. I think when you don't give up big plays, man, it creates all of those obstacles for an offensive unit, and they're certainly doing that and doing it at a high level. They've invested a lot in their edge people up front, and I think they've reaped the rewards of it. Man, they play behind that rush. Michael Parsons, can't say enough about him and his talents. You saw just the other day what he's capable of doing, and I think that's really indicative of the impact that a guy like him has. You better stay out of one-dimensional circumstances. You better stay on schedule. And in doing so, man, you really limit situations where he has an opportunity to take over. Arizona was in that game, but they had to take some risks there toward the end in an effort to pursue victory. They got somewhat one-dimensional, and guys like him, when you get in one-dimensional passing circumstances, they got an opportunity to really control the game, and he shut the game down with 2 really big sacks. And so we got our hands full, but not only with him, with Gary, with Van Ness. They got a lot of talent. They've invested a lot of talent and resources in that position up front, man. And they got a real good secondary. As I mentioned, man, they play well as a collective. They communicate well. They minimize big plays. Quay in the inside up front is a hub of communication. He's been in the league now for a number of years. He's an all situations linebacker. He's good versus the run. He's good versus the pass. He's a good blitzer. His blitz skills were on display last week against Arizona. I think he had 2 sacks in that game. The running back pickup component, excuse me, of blitz is going to be really significant if we want to, win those situational moments. Looking at Green Bay's offense, it starts with Josh Jacobs, and not only because of the circumstances that we're in, coming off of a subpar performance in terms of stopping the run, but he's just a catalyst for a lot that goes on with them. He's a nuts and bolts player, man. He's really good. He's got a great run demeanor. His pile almost always falls the right way from his perspective. We've been familiar with him. We played against him recently when he was in Vegas. He has just been a big-time acquisition for them. I think he's got 23 rushing touchdowns since they acquired him last year, and that's just a staggering number, but it speaks to, his involvement in what it is that they do. He's obviously the central component of their run game, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention his passing game exploits as well. His screen game, his ability to turn short to long in the check down game is really impressive, and so he certainly has our attention. Jordan Love and his talents and the way that he spreads the ball around to a variety of people, his ability to extend plays, his mobility, all the things that certainly has our attention. We played him in 23, and so we're somewhat physically familiar with that skill set, but we still got to make plays. His talents really thin you out schematically. His willingness and his ability to spread the ball around to a lot of people. Tucker at tight end is really significant. He gets down the field. They throw him tight end screens. He's big in their misdirection passing game. He's just a force within their offensive system. They got a young rookie, Golden, out of Texas, that's increasing his participation with each passing week, and his talents are starting to show. I think Watson's been practicing, and so they may get Watson back this week. They got Dobbs. They got a complete repertoire of people to spread the ball around to, and they got a solid running game. And so certainly, man, we got a big week ahead of us from a prep standpoint. We got to be really good in situations. When you play people that are as well-rounded as this group, you got to get off the field when given an opportunity. You got to preserve points when given an opportunity to do so. The special teams component of the game is going to be a big component of the game. We got 2 old warhorse coordinators, man, and Danny Smith and Rich Bisaccia. I would imagine they've gone against each other quite a bit over the years. Worked with Rich, got a lot of respect for his schematics and how he distributes the labor in that space, and so expect that to be a hotly contested component of the game as well. It's Sunday night ball. We respect and appreciate an opportunity to play at prime time, particularly in Acrisure, and excited about it, but we show our excitement by being wired in and prep, and I'm looking forward to a good week of of that. I'll pause and open up for questions.
When you look at the number of plays that the opponent's running, especially like the last 4 games, it's nearly 20 plays more per game. Does something like that have your attention, and how is that explainable when you're at least having success despite that?
It's a lot of layers to that discussion. Sometimes it's the pace of play of others and, how they're going about their business, particularly when you have quick strikes, if you have big plays, and we've had big plays in some of those games. The big play to Muth last week, the big play to DK in Dublin. And so, when you get those one-play drives and things of that nature, there's a lot of variables in that discussion, and it's not always good, it's not always bad, particularly if you're looking at a small block of time.
Not anything terribly alarming.
Not as I stand here today, no.
Mike, you guys only used Nick Herbig for about 29 snaps Thursday night. Was that, when you guys reviewed the game, was that deemed as like a personnel deployment like mistake, or was that part of the plan in this game to limit him for some reason?
Certainly our inability to control the run and limiting one-dimensional passing circumstances probably affected his participation some. But again, we got a lot of good players. As I mentioned often, when you guys talk about playing time, just keep watching. We're going to utilize all our good players. Sometimes games unfold, whether it's schematics or matchups or just how things unfold. You guys were asking me about Muth last week. I'd imagine you're not going to ask me about Muth this week, and that's just an example of it.
Like Aaron's been extending the play a little bit more, been more mobile. What do you think is behind that? Is he just getting more comfortable in the offense, or does his body look like maybe he's turning back the clock, looking like a vintage?
I think he's probably getting more comfortable with not only, the people, the timing component, the personnel component, but the spacing, the strategic component, where people are. He's always done that. That's always been a component of his game. And from my perspective, the more it shows up, it just indicates comfort to me.
Mike, how can you evaluate the performance of your secondary thus far? Has it met your vision for what it was supposed to look like this
It
season?
certainly hasn't met my vision to this point, but I'm not discouraged. We got good people there, good players, good people, guys that got good relationships with the game, and so we're just going to keep working.
What caused the issues stopping the run, and are they similar to what we saw the first couple of weeks of the season?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. It's really simple when you're not stopping the run. Usually, man, people are out of their gaps if you're not being schemed, and they won some of those instances, and that's just a component of it, though. Somebody can break the line of scrimmage and have an 8 or 9 yard run. You live to play another down. They had a 25-yard run, a 37-yard run, and so that speaks to multi-layers of dysfunction. People out of their gap and us not keeping the ball in a confined space once it gets to the second and third level. And so those are two things that has our attention. There's a gap integrity component of it, and that's up front. And oftentimes that's, reflected by, yards per. But the explosion play component of it is about netting and keeping the ball in a constricted space, and we didn't do a good enough job of either.
How do you bridge that gap then, Mike, between identifying, talking about what's wrong and making it better, given the resources you have poured into the defense in recent years?
It's really simple, guys. You can have a couple of plays and create a catastrophic day. They had a 25-yard run and a 37-yard run, but that's all that's required. You get those big runs, they flip the field, they put them in scoring position, they change the trajectory of your strategy, et cetera. And so, it's not 60 snaps we're talking about here, but in our business at this level, 1 or 2 plays are the difference between having a good day and a catastrophic day.
Mike, we talk a lot about how teams game plan for TJ and you guys game plan for Miles. Do you put Michael Parsons in that same camp, a guy you have to really game plan around?
Most certainly. I think his paycheck indicates so.
Mike, Flacco's getting rid of the ball very quickly. Is there anything from a coverage standpoint you can do to make quarterbacks hold on to the ball longer to let your pass rush get home?
No doubt. Disguises the coverage concepts themselves, the tightness or the looseness of the coverage is a component of it. But again, minimizing the run game game is a component of that. When you're on schedule, you can run rhythmic passing. And so, like, none of these things happen in a vacuum. Getting them behind the sticks will make the quarterback hold on to the ball longer, particularly as it pertains to the line of game. When it's 3rd down and 2 and 3, those balls generally come out pretty quickly.
That tightness and looseness, does that speak to more press man potentially that could aid you guys?
Or up posture zones. Tight and looseness doesn't necessarily speak to man or zone. It just speaks to the contour or the structure pre-snap.
Like every game in the NFL is a big game, but do you have a sense of the magnitude of this matchup for Aaron Rodgers facing another former team this season?
You know, I don't. Aaron's been at it a long time. You know, he's got an awesome relationship with this game. I haven't been with him for a long time, but he's been fired up every single week. I'd imagine it's going to be the same. I'd imagine some external things are going to make more out of it than it is for him. He's playing to win. That's what he does. And that's kind of my perspective on it.
Now that you've gotten to work with him throughout this offseason and into the season right now up to this point, what has impressed you about what you've learned from him that maybe you didn't know previously?
I just think, you know, I've been in this thing long enough to know that you don't stumble into 20-plus years of service in this business. And there are probably some unique habits, a unique relationship with work, with the game of football. And so I anticipated that, but it still doesn't make it less impressive. His day-to-day, what he's willing to do. He's been in the building all day today. He loves it. It's who he is. He loves the process. He loves to talk ball. He loves to educate his teammates to get on the same page. He doesn't tire in terms of seeking resolution to issues. It's just a lot of good things about him other than obviously his physical talents and skills that have been really impressive. And again, as I mentioned, not that I'm shocked by it, but it's still highly appreciated.
Mike, after the game, Ramsey stood up and took a lot of blame for what happened. So being overly critical, was that a fair assessment?
No, man, like, he's got big shoulders. That's how he felt.
You guys rank in the bottom half of the league in 3rd down, stopping the 3rd down, and stopping 3rd and long, and now you're facing the offense that's been the best at 3rd down and 3rd and long. What do you guys have to do to be better? What are the things you notice that you guys can be sharper in those moments?
We got to put together a good plan. We got to have a good week. We got to have detailed execution as a collective. That's the ingredients.
How much self-reflection, self-criticism did you guys do during this mini bye? You guys have usually come out of these pretty successfully. How much do you dedicate to something?
You know, it's business as usual for us. We get some additional days. We're going to look within. We're also going to look at things trending in the league. It just wasn't a lot of time between this mini break and the one that we just had, and so it's business as usual for us.
Mike, it seems like Aaron's really endeared himself to the locker room pretty quickly since he got here. Did you anticipate his ability to kind of assimilate to the culture so quickly?
I did. I just know too many people that have worked with him in other locations, and and I knew how his teammates felt about him in other places, and so not shocked by that at all.
Mike, your secondary has a lot of experience, but not in this system playing together. Is that maybe attributed to why there were some problems against the Bengals?
I'm sure it's a component of it, but we don't seek comfort or find comfort in that. We got to be better.
Mike, you guys have been averaging decent yardage on the ground behind in the gaps with McCormick and Faltano. What have they done to become a better duo as run blockers for you guys?
It's not those guys individually. It's about the collective. I think largely our run game has been trending in the right direction for about a month or so now. But that's a reasonable thing to happen. We got a young group. They're gaining maturity individually and collectively. We're getting the type of cohesion that is going to allow that to happen. And I just think it's a global trajectory thing, and it's not about two people within the collective.
You've used a lot of different guys in different combinations at safety. Some of that's been injury related, some of it otherwise. Would you ideally like to get to two guys, or are you comfortable continuing to mix and match?
You know, what you'd like to do in the reality in this business oftentimes is different, particularly as it pertains to player availability. That's why it's very important that you have a deep and talented group that you do a good job of coaching all parties involved, because everybody gets an opportunity to ante up and kick in at some point. And so I've just trained myself over the years to never wait for the scenario that you mentioned, that you better coach everybody all the time, because generally there's always going to be some challenges from a player availability standpoint, man, and the expectation is the expectation.
Mike, it looked like Broderick got a little too enthusiastic after the touchdown. It tackled Aaron. What was your reaction to that? Broderick said he apologized to him.
I never saw it. I didn't see it live. I didn't see it in replay. I heard about it, so I really don't have a reaction.
Is Corey Trice close to coming back to practice at all?
He is.
Is Miles out for the season, or could he potentially come back?
Miles is out for the season. Miles had knee surgery that was deemed a success, but certainly he's facing rehabilitation at this juncture, and so our heart aches for Miles. Obviously, he's a significant component of what we do, particularly in the special team space. It's never one man. It's probably a collection of men that have to step up when you're faced with a challenge like that. Pep did a nice job as a personal protector on our punt team last week, but there'll be no exhale there. That's something that's got to be earned over a long period of time. We've played a lot of football with Miles in that spot. That's the quarterback of the punt team, if you will, and so that certainly has our attention as we work to fortify the spaces, the voided spaces where he's usually an asset to us.
In terms of play style and approach of how they like to rush Parsons, is there at all a comp you can draw to how you guys successfully contained Garrett a couple weeks ago, or is that not an apples-to-apples thing?
It can be, but certainly they're two different people in terms of what makes them great and how they get to the quarterback, but how they're deployed, the distribution of rushers, number of rushers. Both groups play behind their four-man rush. Both guys are edge players. Both guys are capable of moving around to either side. And so, but the same could be said about any of the elite rushers. Max Crosby in Vegas, for example, they play behind their four-man rush. He moves around some. I just think that's what you do when you have elite players like those guys.
Mike, what's the line that you have to walk when you play a team like Cincinnati and you want to maybe start or use a lot of sub-package, and then they start to run the ball on you, and then you have to switch back? I mean, that juggling act there, how do you guys get it to progress?
I just think that's a strategic part of the game that's never going anywhere. That's what we do all week, you know. And certainly going into games, teams have personalities, but your ability to adapt and adjust in game is a major component of engineering success. And, you know, those type of things go down in a myriad of ways every week. You make plans, you fortify those plans with reps and work. But at the same time, you're light on your feet because you understand what you're looking at in stadium oftentimes requires adaptation.
Mike, Arthur Smith has worked with three very different quarterbacks in his brief time here and had success. You're top 10 right now in scoring offensively. What stands out about the way he's continued to evolve or modify his offense to fit the skill sets of the quarterback?
I think that's one of the things that was attractive to me about him. The same could be said for his time spent in Tennessee and Atlanta. Quarterbacks with varying skill sets. Matt Ryan was a pocket passer. Mariota was a mover. Tannehill could move and was a Grizzly veteran. He's been around a variety of guys, but he's always been adaptable. And that adaptability is a major component of coaching, and he's very good at it. He certainly has a mode of operation, things that he values, but he's pliable enough to bring the ball not only to his quarterback and their skill set, but to the talent within the collective as well.
Like, you guys had a lot of success throwing to tight ends against the Bengals. How much is just their usage kind of alleviates in the lack of depth in the wide receiver room, especially with Calvin's injury?
I think we've been talking about that since the beginning of team development. You know, we got a deep and talented group in that space, and they're all eligibles. They're positionless receivers, REC, and that's kind of been the spirit in which we've operated all season.
Joey had a couple of penalties in that game. Is just something that part of that matchup? Is there something you're seeing that just needs to be corrected?
I'd imagine those two receivers got something to do with it.
Anyone else? Michael, are there any lingering concerns about the playing surface of Agrish, or are you guys not concerned? That's something you're paying attention to going into this game?
Not from my perspective, man. I am not a grass expert. I hadn't cut my grass in a long, long time. I coach football. I'm gonna stay in my lane.
Mike is.
I don't even know who cuts my grass. Okay.
Malik Harrison close to being activated, and where might he help you either defensively or special teams?
He's working. He's at that stage. He's in that 21-day window where he's working, and we're just going to watch his work and let the quality of his work kind of be our guide, whether or not we consider him.
Mike, you talk about the excitement of playing on Sunday Night Football, but what can be said about a matchup like this featuring two very storied, very historic franchises?
Man, it's just life in the National Football League. It's what I probably enjoy most about it. Each week, man, there's something to get really fired up about. Got a lot of respect for that organization historically. Got a lot of respect for that organization present day with their collection of leadership and players and so forth. And so we've been in some big games with them. I'd imagine this was not going to be any different. It's exciting. It's the NFL.
Talking about things that get you excited, the alternate uniforms, the helmets, that's something that elevates this game even more?
That's like the grass for me. I got some other priorities. I probably wouldn't have known about that had you not informed me.
Mike, you guys right now are the best at third and shorter, 3rd and 3 and shorter. What have you guys done to win those short yardage situations more consistent?
I don't know. The difference between being number one and not being number one is minute. And so we're just trying to be our very best, particularly in situations, and where we are, particularly at this stage of the journey, is where we are. We're not overanalyzing it.
Anyone else?
You talked about Pat, who said we're not going to bring his playing time up this week. How have you seen that whole group adjust to there being 4 tight ends that all get playing time and having that attitude about it?
It's been great. It's been great since day zero of team development. The collective welcomed Jonnu with open arms. Jonnu's worked hard to fit in and be a component of the group. He realizes that he's the elder statesman in the group, even though he is new, and so he's absorbed some big brother-like responsibilities in terms of being the Grizzly veteran. It's a good collection of talent and a good collection of people, and I think when you have that, that's what you're looking for. You have an opportunity for it to work, and it has, and I see no reason why it won't continue.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's the Tomlin Tuesday. Bob Pompiani, joined now by Missy Matthews, and some things you find out you didn't expect, like Mike Tomlin doesn't cut his grass, doesn't know who does, and he leaves the fashion to Kia. Pretty much.
All makes sense,
that all makes sense.
That tracks.
His job is to get this team ready for this game coming up, and there is some good injury news potentially coming into this one.
Yeah, Coach Tomlin said the team and Calvin Austin are optimistic that he could return this week from that shoulder injury that he suffered in Dublin against the Vikings. Still working. We saw some of that last week, so hopefully that continues. You have a little bit extra time because it is Sunday night. You're coming off of a Thursday night. And Coach Tomlin, unfortunately, did confirm that Miles Killebrew had a successful surgery on his knee, is out for the rest of the season. Special teams captain, obviously meant a lot to this team, played a lot of snaps as well. So devastating news for him and the team, but it is unfortunately part of the game.
It is, and he's been such a key part of that special teams and just a good guy overall. And we wish him certainly a speedy recovery. When we come back, we'll delve more into what Mike Tomlin had to say about Green Bay and also the leftover stuff concerning the Cincinnati Bengals and that disappointing loss on Thursday. All coming up as we continue right here on a Tomlin Tuesday. We'll be back with more on KDK Plus and Steeler Digital platforms.
Get all your Steelers gear direct from the team. Shop the Steelers Pro Shop in-store or online for all things black and gold. You can get jerseys, hats, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can't find anywhere else. And of course, get the ultimate Steelers game day accessory, the Terrible Towel. Steelers Nation shops here. Get your gear in-store or online at shop.steelers.com.
I don't know,
about that. I mean, I feel like we ran the ball really well. I think we had a good couple first drives, and then I made a poor decision on a drive. Kind of changed the momentum a little bit. No, I didn't feel like we were mixing it up. They started to play a little more one high, so we had some chances to take some shots down the field.
It seemed like you had some time in the pocket that was pretty different than the way things were going earlier in the season, and you guys were able to connect on some scramble drills. Was that something you were maybe expecting, or was that sort of an adjustment on the fly?
No, I mean they played a lot of too high coverage, and we blocked it up pretty well. I felt good kind of moving in the pocket and out of the pocket, and made some extended plays.
Mike said Pat's time would be coming here soon, and like he stepped up for you guys tonight. Were you looking for him especially on that first touchdown?
Well, I mean, on that one, I'd actually told him on the sidelines, hey, no, I told him at halftime, I said, if we come back and I call this play, be ready, because I saw something on one of the pictures on the sideline in the first half. So at halftime, I pulled him aside, and I didn't think it'd be 3rd and 18 from the 19, but they clouded pretty hard to DK, and Pat did a nice job down the middle, and it was really the same play on the second touchdown.
Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about today. The crowd at Acrisure is so loud.
There's nothing like game day in Pittsburgh.
Oh my, TJ!
His defense is swarming.
It is kicked off. What a catch! Wow! Guess who? Touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers!
We'll see you at Acrisure Stadium. Here we go.
We got to stop the run more effectively. We feel like that's a building block for us to play good defense, to get offenses in more one-dimensional passing circumstances, to get people in more advantageous possession down circumstances for us. Our inability to stop the run, I think, created that, and that was an issue for us. It really started kind of in the second quarter when Brown popped a couple of runs, and it kind of went on from there. I never felt like we had an opportunity to stabilize that component of the game. We had been trending the right way in that space for a number of weeks, but certainly last week was a setback in that area.
That's Mike Tomlin talking about the run game against the Cincinnati Bengals, the run defense anyway, and Cincinnati had come into that game with no runs of 14 yards or more, and then all of a sudden in this game, 27 and 37, and it led the way to a schematic change in how they approached that team, because all of a sudden Chase Brown had to be accounted for.
Yeah, I think, just listening to the players after the game in the locker room, even yesterday when they had a bonus day of practice, the inability to stop the run, very frustrating, and something that I think even Cam Hayward might have used a few choice words. It's just something that cannot happen. And as Coach said at the end of that clip that we were just listening to, it is something that they were getting better at as the season was going on. And it was almost, 2 steps backwards against the Cincinnati team, who did not come in as a team that was running the ball well. And I think that's maybe the more surprising thing, that they weren't able to do that and to contain Chase Brown. And it just felt like he could kind of do whatever he wanted. And Joe Flacco, as we know from last week, Coach Tomlin, not happy that the Browns traded him to a division rival, but he was able to slice and dice and get the ball out quickly and do what we have seen Aaron Rodgers do to other opposing defenses.
Yeah, no question. Open up the field all the way. Yoshi Voss even got involved in this. And when you start, capitalizing, trying to turn down Higgins and Jamar Chase, other guys become prominent, as evidenced right here. So, but the thing is, those slant patterns really hurt Missy, and it seemed like Aaron Rodgers, they want to get the ball out quickly, and when that happens, pinpoint accuracy is necessary, and Joe Flacco, the one thing he'll do if you give him time is put it right on the money.
Yeah, still, wasn't able to practice a ton with those guys. Yeah. Got there late the week before, played in a game. They weren't able to win, but then, still a short week, so you have to give him credit there. But it is, it's a formidable challenge when you're going against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins when they are healthy. That was only the 5th time they both played at the same time against the Steelers. But definitely something that was not good, as it felt like their offense was pretty much able to do whatever it wanted.
Yeah, and they targeted Chase a tremendous amount of times.
Broke
23
franchise records,
franchise record, 16 receptions. But a lot of those seemed to be because the Steelers again had to account for a run game. So once that happened, it changed a lot of things. Slant patterns had a lot to do with it. And the Steelers, the one thing they have to really get better at is stopping these big plays. I think they've given up 19 plays of 20 yards or more in the air, and that's a pace that they don't want to continue for sure.
No doubt. And Coach Tomlin was asked, how do you, what do you think of your secondary currently as we sit here today? And it was, not up to the vision that he had thought that it would be at. And I think especially because of all of the moves that they made this offseason, and, even Jalen Ramsey had mentioned on a podcast, going against Jamar Chase and guys like that. I think we had some higher expectations in terms of what those guys would be able to do to shut them down, and it was the exact opposite, unfortunately.
Well, they are two of the elite receivers in the game.
No doubt.
And again, they had struggled mostly because Jake Browning, who's been there for a long time, just couldn't put the ball where he needed to do it. Plus, their offensive line, I didn't expect it to be this good in this game either, and because that's one of the things that they've been trying to get better at, and they certainly did in this game. So the Steelers will get a chance to see the Bengals again in a few weeks here at Acrisure Stadium. We'll see, what changes there. There were some good things offensively. When you score 31 points in a game, you got to be happy with that, and sort of unlock Pat Freiermuth. A lot of people have been wondering about strategically why he wasn't getting the ball enough. Well, he loves playing with Cincinnati. If he had 17 of those on his resume, he'd be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and especially in Cincinnati, it seems like it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. He typically goes off, and Coach was talking about the zone defense that they play and how they can take advantage. But it was good to see, as you said, to get him involved. 4 touchdowns, all the tight ends. It was just one of those nights, and it felt like they were doing a lot to take DK Metcalf away from Aaron Rodgers being an option for him.
That's one of the things you saw in that previous play. Aaron Rodgers is moving around a lot more than I thought he could or would. That play specifically, when it touched on to Jonnu Smith before that, I mean, he covered the entire length of the field almost. He was running every which way. And even on this one, just to buy a little extra time, put on the money to Darnell Washington. Did you expect that much from him at age 41? Because I thought that's one of the things, just Father Time typically doesn't lose. They win that game.
Yeah, I think early on, he was maybe taking more sacks than you would want a 41-year-old quarterback to take early in the season. But I do think, it was even the one touchdown to Freiermuth. He told him at halftime, hey, if I see this again, I know this can work. He's just so smart above the neck in terms of what to see and what not. So I don't, he's not purposely running into sacks and things like that or doing something. He'll get rid of the ball or call timeout before doing something like that. But it's great to see. But again, we're only in week 8 now. Yeah. So there's still plenty more of the season left to go.
And then he had one of his favorite plays, the Hail Mary, which he's been successful at. And he threw it 70 yards in the air. I mean, if you doubted his arm strength, all you have to do is look at this game specifically to know that he still got it in that department. All right, we'll talk about the Green Bay Packers. That's coming up next. They're 4-1-1 coming to Acrisure Stadium on Sunday night. A big game for both teams. We'll delve into Green Bay next when we continue right here on a Tomlin Tuesday.
Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about today. The crowd at Acrisure is so loud.
There's nothing like game day in Pittsburgh.
Oh my, TJ!
His defense is swarming.
And it's picked off. What a catch! Wow! Guess who? Touchdown! Pittsburgh Steelers!
We'll see you at Acrisure Stadium. Here we go.
TJ scored on 7 of 8 possessions to close out that game. What was going wrong for you guys tonight?
Seemed like everything. It was an absolutely unacceptable performance from us on the defensive side of the ball.
What were they able to do to minimize, for the most part, the pass rush?
I think they were getting the ball out pretty quick all night. Good amount of max protection, but even then, it seemed like the ball was coming out pretty quickly.
A couple big plays in the running game in the second quarter that uncharacteristic for them. What do you feel like led to that?
Just not playing gap sound football. Obviously, we'll have to look at the tape, but we felt like the run scheme we had for this game was going to be effective, and I think it's going to come down to, when we look at the film, it's just guys getting out of gap.
What's the mindset when you're in a game where you're not getting stops? So what are you thinking? What are you saying to yourselves on the sideline?
Trying to bow up. I mean,
obviously been in that situation before. I mean, it's not always going to be your night, but you like to think that through all of the training and practice and everything that we've put in, that when we need a stop the most, we should be able to get a stop, and wasn't able to tonight.
Is that some of the stuff you've seen before from Flacco over the years?
As far as
Just getting the ball out quickly. And
yeah, we saw it last year in Indy. I think it's something that we knew he was capable of. Obviously, when you play that long, you're able to get through your reads quick and need to be able to stop him.
TJ's defense as a whole, what makes Chase so tough to stop on those slants?
I don't know, man. I'm just trying to rush up front and stop the run and get after the quarterback.
Get all your Steelers gear direct from the team. Shop the Steelers Pro Shop in-store or online for all things black and gold. You can get jerseys, hats, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can't find anywhere else. And of course, get the ultimate Steelers game day accessory, the Terrible Towel. Steelers Nation shops here. Get your gear in-store or online at shop.steelers.com.
I just think, I've been in this thing long enough to know that you don't stumble into 20-plus years of service in this business. And there are probably some unique habits, a unique relationship with work, with the game of football. And so I anticipated that, but it still doesn't make it less impressive. His day-to-day, what he's willing to do. He's been in the building all day today. He loves it. It's who he is. He loves the process. He loves to talk ball. He loves to educate his teammates to get on the same page. He doesn't tire in terms of seeking resolution to issues. It's just a lot of good things about him other than obviously his physical talents and skills that have been really impressive.
That's Mike Tomlin talking about his quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, who really is involved in the process, loves it. That's why he decided to keep playing, and that's why the Steelers brought him here. He also has a unique opportunity this week, Missy, to beat the team he used to play for 18 years. And that's the one team he hasn't beaten because he hasn't really played them. Now he's going to get a chance. And that he may not talk about this pregame, but down deep, that's got to be a little bit of a motivational edge.
I think so. And even, week one, going back to the Jets, the most recent team that he had played for, he kind of downplayed that, but said, going against Green Bay, it's a little different when you spend 17, 18 years. That's the team that drafted you, where you, got your first chance to start in the league, even though he had to wait. I think this one does mean a little more, and because of some of the people that are still there that he either, was coached by or played with. So it's slightly different. It's Sunday Night Football. Again, the league knew what they were doing when they made the schedule, even though it was not confirmed just yet that Aaron Rodgers was coming here to Pittsburgh.
Well, let's talk about what Aaron Rodgers has to avoid on the Packers defense. It starts with Micah Parsons. They brought him here for a reason. They gave him a huge contract, and he's one of those guys off the edge you really have to be accounted for. And you wonder, they do move him around a little bit. And I'm just going to be curious to see the matchups that evolve because of this. But we saw last week against Arizona that he had 3 sacks, and he made it tough on whomever was at the tackle position.
Yeah, Coach Tomlin was asked, earlier during his press conference, do you kind of put him in the same category as TJ Watt and Myles Garrett, where you have to plan for him? And, he kind of jokingly laughed and said, well, yeah, his paycheck tells me that. And it is true. The way that he moves around, as you said, 3 sacks this past weekend. And it just seems like he's flourishing in this Green Bay defense since being traded and wanting out of Dallas.
Yeah, there are other tendencies too. This is a defense led by Jeff Hafley, who I think we all got a chance to meet. You probably more so. He was here when he was on Dave Wanstadt's staff. He's moved around. Now he's their defensive coordinator. Do you remember any tendencies that he used to do defensively? I know getting to the quarterback is everyone's objective, but he seems to do a pretty good job of covering guys, especially ones who are big playmakers for the other team.
Yeah, he was with Dave Wanstad, was even with Greg Schiano, moved around a little bit with him, and has some secondary background as well before becoming the defensive coordinator. He was a head coach at Boston College before getting this job, but who doesn't want to coach in the NFL when you have the opportunity to do so? And he has the players, and adding Micah Parsons to it, you could really tell that the Green Bay Packers, to make a trade like that, you have to feel pretty good about your squad and what you have and what can that one vital position do for you to hopefully propel you into the playoffs and further. But as you said, sitting at 4-1-1, I don't know. It just feels like it's been a wonky start to the season and so many different things have happened, but you never know as you get towards the end. But this matchup for sure felt like it was very far away, and now that it's here, it's kind of crazy that it's already week 8.
It starts offensively with them with a run game, and Josh Jacobs has been very good. He was in Vegas, and he didn't stay there. He's there now as their primary guy. He was coming off an injury, but he played well, I thought, in the game against Arizona, and no doubt they're going to try to do exactly what Cincinnati did to the Steelers.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you? After you see the different things
Right.
on tape, for sure, and even going back to some of the time earlier in the season where that was an issue as well, I do think, they did a good job against the Browns. So, it's how do you regroup when you have a longer time period to do it, but also Jordan Love, a guy who, he doesn't just stay put. He can also use his legs as well. So it will be interesting to see how the defense regroups and what their game plan is to try and stop this offense.
One thing we've learned, it's a week-to-week league.
It is.
You see wins, and then you expect more of them, and all of a sudden I think Aaron Rodgers referred to it as a roller coaster ride, which
But
is
he
the
said
NFL.
he's not going to ride it.
He's not going to ride it.
Yeah.
No. A lot of people do.
You shouldn't ride it either.
Well, I'm never good on roller coasters. I don't like them. They're not good for me. We'll be back with more as we talk about some of the things going on in the AFC North. That all continues right here on a Tomlin Tuesday.
Get all your Steelers gear direct from the team. Shop the Steelers Pro Shop in-store or online for all things black and gold. You can get jerseys, hats, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can't find anywhere else. And of course, get the ultimate Steelers game day accessory, the Terrible Towel. Steelers Nation shops here. Get your gear in-store or online at shop.steelers.com.
Yeah, extremely frustrating. Obviously, we had them there at the end. Give credit to them. They had a good game plan, and they came out on top.
How about you? How did you feel out there today? I mean, you had a first game in a while, over 100 yards, and offense kind of was clicking there.
I mean, it is what it is. Obviously, wish we came out with a W. It's always about the team first, and proud of how the guys fought throughout the whole game. But doesn't really mean much since we didn't win.
What is it about Thursday nights with you guys? Can you put your finger on it?
No, I mean, we just gotta execute better and come out with a win.
Was it just the quick passes from Flacco?
Yeah, I mean, he was getting it out quick, but I mean, we had a game plan for that, and so we just didn't execute. And like I said, we didn't make the plays that needed to be made tonight to win the game.
It's kind of uncharacteristic of the way you guys have been playing, especially stopping the run.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's what something we pride ourselves on, and so when that happens, it's unacceptable. So we just got to analyze the tape when we get back in.
Is there anything with Thursday night games?
I mean, I feel like we do a good job preparing for them. I feel like we have a good week. The practice, but in the day, it doesn't matter what happens in practice. You got to come out here and execute. And we didn't do that tonight.
Alex, how frustrating is it to have a game like this defensively when it felt like you guys have been on the rise the last couple of weeks?
It's frustrating because we know the type of defense we are and the type of players we have, and so, like I said, it's just frustrating knowing how good we've been playing recently and to have this happen. So, like I said, we just got to analyze the film and get back to work.
Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about today. The crowd at Acrisure is so loud.
There's nothing like game day in Pittsburgh.
Oh my, TJ!
This defense is swarming.
It is picked up. What a catch! Wow! Guess who? Touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers!
We'll see you at Acrisure Stadium. Here we go.
Man, it's just life in the National Football League. It's what I probably enjoy most about it. Each week, man, there's something to get really fired up about. got a lot of respect for that organization historically. Got a lot of respect for that organization present day with their collection of leadership and players and so forth. And so we've been in some big games with them. I'd imagine this was not going to be any different. It's exciting. It's the NFL.
Steelers and Packers have played some very interesting games over the years, plays to remember over the years that you'll remember, and they're trying to create new ones this weekend against Green Bay. One thing we know, although the Steelers have struggled on Thursday night, they have been very good under the lights Sunday, Monday, and coming off bye weeks too, or mini byes.
Right, mini byes. Coming off of Thursday night football under Coach Tomlin, the Steelers are 14-6, and then in terms of Sunday night football, especially at home, under Mike Tomlin, they're 22-16, 11-8 at home. So ironically, the last time they played on Sunday night was against Aaron Rodgers when he was with the Jets. And this time he'll be on their side as they go against his former team.
Yeah, and it's also a throwback weekend. We have new uniforms dating back to 1933. They're not the Bumblebees. A lot of people expected that, but they're different. I like them.
I like the helmets.
Yeah.
I think that just really makes it pop. It's very different than anything that they've done. And obviously that's a lot of time and planning to go into something like that.
All right, around the league, it's interesting. The Ravens are coming off a bye, so they'll have a game at home against Chicago. They've had a lot of injuries, but they're 1-5. That's a tough deficit to come out from. Most teams that do that don't. There have only been 4 teams in the history of the NFL have come back to make the playoffs at 1-5. Cincinnati got a little extra mojo after they won here on Thursday night against the Steelers, and now they have the Jets who are really struggling there. It's like I said, it takes time. People think this is week to week, but it's also tight week in and week out in terms of the outcomes of these games. Steelers are still in a good spot at 4-2.
Yeah, I think, winning on Thursday night would have really cemented, okay, you're in a really great spot, but I think yes, the Ravens are 1-5, but the Steelers still have to play them twice. So it is one of those things that you kind of keep in the back of your head, but there's not much you can do other than focusing on your next challenge and what are you going to do in terms of trying to get victory in that one. So, but, Chicago's playing well. So there's a lot of different things, for all the various AFC North teams as they head into this week.
This is an interesting stretch for the Steelers, too, because while the team is focusing week to week, we can also look a little down the road. And if you look 4 games, yeah. So you have this game, and then you have Indy, which is the number 1 seed in the AFC. Not many people saw that happening.
Here at home.
Daniel Jones is doing a great job. That's right, at Acrisure Stadium. After that, it's a Chargers game. And you never know about that team. Herbert's capable of lighting anyone up, but they're not winning the way I think people out there thought he would. And then the Bengals return here. So next 4 are going to be very important.
Absolutely, and not to mention, you're going to the West Coast. It's a Sunday night football game, which always seems to be the case when we play the Chargers at SoFi Stadium. So will be interesting to see, as you said, kind of taking in those 4-game chunks. This is going to be one that will tell us a lot.
One thing and this is just something that I've been thinking about a lot, about field goal kickers and how their range now affects how you defend another team when you only have a few seconds left, and you think before you have to go to like the 40-yard line or 35-yard line. Now, once the ball gets to midfield, any of these kickers, and we saw Lucas Havershek, who is a kicker now, he was about to become a student teacher because he didn't have any jobs. Green Bay called him up. 61-yarder that erased Mason Crosby's record from all these years. So it's interesting how even 30 seconds is a lot of time in the NFL if you just need 3 points.
Yeah, and it's all about the operation and everything that goes into getting that kickoff, but it is something that we're just accustomed to now.
We'll take a break, come back with more right here on a Tomlin Tuesday, live on KDK Plus and Steeler Digital platforms.
Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about today. The crowd at Acrisure is so loud.
There's nothing like game day in Pittsburgh.
Oh my TJ!
His defense is swarming.
It is picked off. What a catch! Wow! Guess who? Touchdown! Pittsburgh Steelers.
We'll see you at Acrisure Stadium. Here we go.
To have a game like this after it felt like the defense had been trending in the right direction the last couple of weeks?
It sucks, but I mean, like we said before, we weren't perfect like when we played the Browns, and we're not perfect now. So we just got to keep working, keep working on our craft. Really, there ain't really much to say.
Is it a different challenge for you guys when you're facing 2 guys of that caliber as opposed to just one? It's been with the pace most of the year.
No, not really. I mean, we got the guys to do it. They just got to let us play.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the calls today with the officiating, but it is what it is. It's football.
What were some of the
One more for
explanations?
Joey, guys.
What explanations did you get on some of those penalties? It looked like you were talking to the officials.
I was trying to figure it out, but he wasn't really saying nothing educational to learn from, so it was pointless.
It sucks, but you know it's in the past now. We just gotta go look at the film whenever we come in and just build, get better. You know, it's still early in the season. Nothing's out of reach. We're still in position to do what we want to do, so we just gotta go back to work and get better. It's that simple.
What wasn't working well with stopping the run tonight?
We just wasn't doing what we've been doing. We wasn't being physical. We wasn't maintaining our gap. Everybody just got a job, and they just got to stick to that job. Starting with me, I got to be better. I had 2 chances to make a play, didn't make the play, and it turned into a big run. So you know, I just got to get better. It's that simple.
Why were they struggle on Thursday night? Is there anything you put your finger on there?
I mean, I think this is my first Thursday night here, so I think we had good preparation, good walkthrough, good practice. You know, it's unfortunate. Felt like we had good momentum. Felt like we practiced good. Felt good going into the game. So we just got to go out, execute better, play more physical, be who we are.
Get all your Steelers gear direct from the team. Shop the Steelers Pro Shop in-store or online for all things black and gold. You can get jerseys, hats, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can't find anywhere else. And of course, get the ultimate Steelers game day accessory, the Terrible Towel. Steelers Nation shops here. Get your gear in-store or online at shop.steelers.com.
All right, in terms of some good injury news, Calvin Austin III still working back from that shoulder injury. Coach Tomlin said the team's optimistic, as is Calvin. Hopefully he'll be ready to go for Sunday Night Football. And Coach also confirming what I think we all figured would happen is that Miles Killebrew is out for the season with that knee injury. His surgery, though, was successful.
Yeah, that's good news as far as the surgery is concerned. You hate to miss him the rest of the year because he's such a dynamic player on special teams, but wishing him a speedy recovery. And Calvin Austin's presence will be very helpful here because this is a team that comes after the quarterback. He's a good route runner, and hopefully he'll get open and make some plays.
Yeah, excited. Sunday Night Football. It feels like it's been a while since they played on Thursday night, had a nice little weekend off, and ready to get back at it.
All right, Missy, as always, appreciate it. That's going to do it for us. Steelers and Packers coming up Sunday night. We have a whole bunch of programming on KDKA and KDK Plus throughout the course of the week. And, of course, you'll always be in touch with Steelers.com. That's going to do it for us. For Missy Matthews, I'm Bob Pompiani. Have a good week. We'll see you on Sunday.